Imagine being on the brink of football greatness, only to choose a path that leaves the world questioning your decisions. This is the story of Oscar, a player once hailed as the next Ricardo Kaka. From dazzling in the Premier League to becoming a key player for Brazil, Oscar had it all, but a lucrative move to China changed everything. Today, we dive deep into the facts and details of his career-altering decision. Stick around and enjoy. Oscar is a key player with a lot of accolades, which makes us wonder, why did he choose to join an unknown Chinese league at the peak of his career? Experts agree that a footballer's prime years are between 24 and 28. Remarkably, Oscar moved to China at 26, right in the middle of this period. It's astonishing how he made up his mind to do it, but here we are 7 years later, and he's still there. Before delving into this controversial decision, let's explore his early life, including the scandals and struggles he faced. Oscar's struggles began even before he was born, as his family lived in a very harsh rural area of Americana, a province in the southern part of Brazil. Born on September 9, 1991, Oscar's childhood was particularly challenging, even compared to other Brazilian footballers. His family struggled to provide food for him and his two sisters, and he had few friends to play with. Americana is a remote area with sparse population and limited job opportunities, making it a challenging place to grow up. But all this would have been overcome had Oscar's family not been struck by disaster. In 1994, when he was just 3 years old, his father was killed in a road accident. At the time, Oscar's mother was pregnant with his sister, Gabriela, and the family's situation went from bad to worse. Years later, when Oscar was well established as a footballer, he revealed that he remembered little of his father growing up and wished his dad could have watched him play football during his childhood. The Brazilian also said that he grew up in poverty and that his family really had nothing. Speaking of his footballing journey, which eventually proved to be his and his family's salvation from hard times, he began training with a small local club, União Barbarense, between 1984 and 2004. Even as a child, Oscar's technical ability, vision, and playmaking skills stood out. União Barbarense provided the young talent with his first structured environment for football development. His performance in the youth ranks quickly attracted the attention of bigger clubs, particularly São Paulo, and it wasn't long before he made his first big move. At the age of 13, Oscar found himself in a completely different world, leaving his hometown team for one of the biggest clubs in Brazil, where legends such as Adriano, Rogério Ceni were at the heart of the team. São Paulo was also home to Hernandez, who would go on to share much of Oscar's professional path. The move was a significant step up, providing him with first-class training facilities and exposure to top-level competition. São Paulo is renowned as one of South America's top football academies. Notably, Oscar's idol, Kaka, also came through São Paulo before moving to AC Milan. If you want to know more about his story, you can check out the link above. At São Paulo, Oscar continued to hone his skills and show his versatility as an attacking midfielder. Truth be told, it was no coincidence that Oscar idolized Kaka. The two had an incredibly similar style of play and occupied an identical area of the pitch. The only major difference was that Kaka was slightly taller, which gave him a slight advantage in physical duels. But that was the only real difference. In most of the other key areas of the game, Kaka and Oscar were very similar. Excellent in tight spaces, unbelievable long-range shots, even from dead ball situations, mad adaptability, and most importantly of all, insane creativity and vision. To put it simply, both could find their teammates anywhere on the pitch. And that's why the São Paulo Academy, which has a proven track record of producing top talent, definitely had a hand in it. Oscar made his professional debut for the senior team in 2008, when he was just 17 years old. His technical ability and maturity on the ball were evident, and he quickly became a valuable member of the squad. However, his time in São Paulo was marred by a legal dispute. In 2010, Oscar attempted to terminate his contract with the club, citing unpaid wages. This legal battle led to his temporary suspension, but it also paved the way for his next career move, Internacional. Typically, top Brazilian talents spend time at one or two clubs before moving to Europe. Due to the scandal, Oscar stayed longer in Brazil, with Internacional being the ideal team for his development. Oscar quickly established himself as a key player at the club, and his performances in midfield were being watched by every club that wanted him in their squad. He won the 2011 Recopa Sudamericana with Internacional, a trophy similar to the Europa Super Cup, contested by the winners of the Copa Libertadores in the Copa Sudamericana. Ultimately, Oscar finished his time at Internacional with 15 goals and 57 league appearances, before completing a dream move to Chelsea for a reported 25 million euros. Before his Chelsea move, Oscar had another iconic career moment in 2012. He was part of a star-studded Brazilian national team attack alongside Neymar, Lucas Moura, Hulk, and Alexandre Pato. Yes, it was a crazy lineup to think about, but they were even more impressive than expected. They qualified for the final with ease, only to be surprised by a 2-1 defeat to Mexico in the final. A year later, however, the Brazilians got their revenge, winning the Confederations Cup on home soil with a convincing 3-0 victory over then world champions Spain. But let's talk about his time at Chelsea. The Blues had just won the Champions League a few months before his arrival, but they weren't about to slow their development by buying players who would go on to become two of the most talented footballers to ever play for Chelsea, Oscar and Eden Hazard. Well, we're sure Chelsea fans still remember their duo with nostalgia, backed up in attack by Fernando Torres and Demba Ba until 2014, and then by Diego Costa. Oscar made his first start for Chelsea against Juventus in September 2012. He impressed everyone at Stamford Bridge from the very start, scoring a brace, with one being absolutely world-class. He received the ball from Ashley Cole on the edge of the box, found the space with a simple heel tap, rounded Andrea Pirlo, and bam! Into the top corner of Gianluigi Buffon's net. This magnificent strike would go on to be voted goal of the season. Yes, Chelsea were knocked out at the group stage, but they qualified for the Europa League and won a continental trophy for the second season in a row, beating Benfica in the final. Although Chelsea enjoyed a successful finish of the 2012-13 season, in which Oscar contributed with 12 goals and 9 assists, they were unable to add 2 more silverware to their trophy cabinet, losing both the European Super Cup and the Club World Cup finals. However, after finishing third in the Premier League, Chelsea decided to concentrate on their glory in the English top flight. And they did just that, winning 2 of the next 4 league titles. They won the Premier League in 2015 and 2017 with Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte at the helm respectively. However, Oscar was not always as influential as he was in the beginning of his Chelsea spell. Yes, there were a few dips in form that were heavily criticised by the fans. This was most noticeable at the end of 2015, when Jose Mourinho parted ways with Chelsea for the second time, and Oscar, Costa and Cesc Fabregas were blamed by fans for their poor form and the special one's departure. And of course, we can't forget the 2014 World Cup, which will certainly be remembered with mixed feelings from Oscar and his fellow countrymen. Brazil made a strong start to their home tournament and enjoyed some magical moments in the first 3 weeks. The opening day victory over Croatia, the penalty shootout win over Chile in the round of 16, and of course, David Luiz's magical free kick against Colombia in the quarter-finals. The Brazilians were poised for another glorious run to a 6th World Cup, but it all came crashing down in less than 45 minutes. The German team of 2014 proved deadly, and Brazil were crushed 7-1 at the Maracana in a match that will live in infamy. Despite the defeat, Oscar scored Brazil's only goal, one small positive in the heartbreak. Oscar's Chelsea tenure ended the season after their second Premier League title. In December 2016, he reached a verbal agreement with Chinese club Shanghai SIPG, moving in the summer of 2017. Oscar's transfer was controversial. In his prime, he had 3 options: stay at Chelsea, move to another European club, or join an unknown league in Asia for a fortune but risk obscurity. He chose the latter, moving to Shanghai SIPG. To be honest, the Chinese league had already established itself as a destination for stars, but mainly for those nearing the end of their careers. Ezekiel Lavezzi moved when he was 31, Hulk was 30, Gervinho and Ramirez were 29, Javier Mascherano was 34, and Carlos Tevez was 33. Oscar was the first to move in his prime, at only 26 years old. 7 years later, while the other stars have retired or left China, Oscar remains, reportedly earning close to 170 million euros. He explained, "China's financial power makes offers players can't refuse. I prioritized my family over my career." Yes, the hardships of his childhood clearly had an impact, and his focus has always been on making sure his family is financially secure before thinking about what is best for his career. Well, that may be some justification for his unusual decision, but the fact is that he could have both followed his dream and be remembered as a great footballer, all while making a fortune for generations to come, but in Europe rather than China. Interestingly, Oscar is still eager to return to Europe. Recently he stated, "With my body and the way I play, I think I have a great chance of coming back and playing for a big club in Europe once his contract expires in 2024. Oscar's story is a poignant reminder of the delicate balance between personal priorities and professional legacy. His choice to prioritize financial security over football greatness leaves us with a lingering what if. What do you think? Was Oscar's decision justified, or did he sacrifice too much for financial gain? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this episode, check out more stories on the Football Pitch channel, and don't forget to subscribe. Catch you in the next one, and see you on the pitch.